Thank you for coming in and watching another weekly reading. I'm Achilles with Inner Light Tarot. I'm going to be doing a weekly reading where I basically just go over the energies and talk about what's kind of coming at us in the week ahead to kind of give us a perspective and prepare us for what's about to happen. So the first card I read is going to be the card that represents where we're at right now as we walk into this week, as we move forward. That's going to be the Knight of Wands. And that's a really great card to be when this is representing us. And I really feel like in this position, that is who we are. We are the Knight of Wands walking into this week. And he's a go-getter. He's a motivator. He's the guy that goes and gets things done. I like to think almost of the positive aspects of being an A-type personality. You go and you get a lot of stuff done, and it's great, and you're full of energy, and you're motivating. And since it's upright, we're looking at that. We're looking at that sort of high energy, high cognitive ability to go out there and get your stuff done. Now the next card is your greatest obstacles, and that's a big one in this reading, and I'll explain why in a minute when I do the spread as a whole. But to start with, it is looking like your obstacles is your anxiety, represented by the Nine of Swords. Nine of Swords is really talking about mental anguish, psychological pain from fear, anxiety, turmoil, nightmares. You see you're losing sleep over something that's going on in your mind. And that's going to cause you a problem. In this place, your fear is your greatest obstacle, and that's going to be a big one. And like I said, I'll explain more when I do the whole spread as a whole, but we really need to pay attention to our fears this coming week. The next card is our inner selves, and that is the Two of Swords. Now, this is a very easy card to read, and in this place it is really clear to me that this is sort of a guardedness, okay? She's protecting herself. It doesn't take a big leap here to see why. If your greatest obstacle is your fears, then it makes sense that internally, your internal self is really starting to shell up and protect itself, sort of put on its armor. And so that's what we're looking at from where you are on the inside, this sort of guarded protectiveness. So the next card is the Queen of Swords. This is the thing that has shaped your most recent past, and that is sort of creating the outlook for the future, for the week ahead. Okay, so the things that you've done in the past, that's sort of creating the environment you're about to walk into. And she's a great card. The Queen of Swords is a very intellectual person. She's a very skilled person. She's a sharpshooter, if you will, okay? She goes in there, she knows exactly what she's doing, she's incredibly talented, intelligent, and she does what she sets out to do. Very practical, very reasonable. So this is showing me that in your recent path, things that you've done recently are on point. You are skilled, you are talented, you have shown that, you have executed your plans flawlessly. Your intellect has been employed with great skill recently, and that is going to move you into this coming week. So the next card is going to be what's coming at you in the immediate future, what you're about to walk into. And we're coming out of this very energetic place of the Knight of Wands. We have crafted our environment very well with the Queen of Swords. With our intellect, we have crafted our environment very well. And our greatest obstacle is going to be the Nine of Swords, our anxieties. The next card is the inverted Ace of Swords, which is what we're seeing as coming at us right around the corner. Inverted, the Ace of Swords is showing that you are going to falter. Something's going to go wrong. And it's going to be the result of you misusing your intellectual powers. Okay? So you do something that you regret. Now, we don't have to be super melodramatic here. It could be as little as a choice word to the wrong person. But the point is, something is going to come and bite you in the butt. Something is going to come back and get you because you are going to end up doing something very negative with your mental prowess, which is clearly illustrated through the rest of the spread. So now what does that end up resulting looking like? The final card, the card that all these cards are pointing to, is the inverted Magician. Now this card can be a little bit, I want to say not tricky. When we do a broad read like this, I'm talking to a lot of different people, and the Magician card can be a little sensitive when it comes to who exactly it is you're talking to, especially when it's your primary card. This is the card that this whole spread is pointing to. Often, when you're reading the Magician to someone, who that magician is often represented by the gender of the individual that you're reading for. So if your questioner, you guys, happen to be masculine, then the magician is going to really be representing you in this one. If you happen to be feminine, then the gender is going to be, the magician is going to be somebody who is masculine in your life. Okay, so, and someone close to you. This could be a boyfriend, a husband, a brother, a father, a very, very dear friend. He's going to be somebody that you care very deeply for, somebody that's very important to your life. Inverted, the magician means psychological problems, like serious psychological. It could be depression, mental illness. It's really a tearing down of who you are. When it's inverted. Upright, the magician's the greatest card in the world. You love to be the magician. He's skillful, he's wonderful, he's everybody you want to be. Inverted, he's having trouble. He's having a lot of trouble, and it has to do with his real being. It's a serious emotional, psychological problem. Not so much physical. It could be manifest of a physical problem, like a serious illness, but really, and especially with this read, with so many swords in it, with such a cognitive read, all of it pointing to really mental problems. To give it a real scope, to really break down what the spread as a whole is trying to say, well, your anxiety is going to end up causing you to do something you regret, and it's really gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt you psychologically. It's going to be very damaging to the core person you are. But don't despair. I know this sounds really doom and gloom here. My readings are, especially when they're like this and they're negative, it's not about how the world is going to be throwing at you. It's about what you can do about it. That's why you're doing this. That's why you're reading this. There is hope for this. And whenever I see a card that's inverted, like the Ace of Swords, it's so negative, the cards are telling me it's not about that this is going to happen, that you're going to have this measurable experience. It's a warning. It's telling you, hey, let's turn this Ace of Swords around. Let's make this upright, because if we do that, if we do turn these negative cards around, we turn the Ace of Swords right side up, we turn the Magician right side up, then we have a very different outlook. Okay, you overcome your greatest obstacle, which is your anxiety, and you'll end up executing greatness. The Ace of Swords right side up is an extremely skillful, masterful use of your intellect. You will do something good. You'll get far with something in this coming week. You will accomplish something you've set out to do if you turn this Ace of Swords right side up. And of course, that would turn the Magician right side up, and that will make you feel very accomplished, very, very powerful. It's the expression of your skill in the Ace and the Magician card. So turn these two cards up and you're good to go. And that's what this read is telling me. That's what this spread is telling me. Your greatest obstacle is going to cause you, if you don't overcome it, a lot of pain. But if you do overcome it, and you can turn these cards up, right side up, you can turn them around, you'll be walking into something really good. So be very mindful of this coming week. It is a big warning here. Stakes are somewhat high. Look internally. Take some time to gather yourself. Psychologically confront your anxieties. Master those fears. Okay? I wouldn't even say that those fears are necessarily completely unfounded. You may have something that you're seriously worried about. However, everything else in the spread is showing me that you are a very intelligent person, and you can and will find your way out of it as long as you conquer those fears, as long as you don't give in to that anxiety. Don't let it be your master. Master it, and everything will open up for you.